Welcome to the Hawthorn Cottagecraft Podcast. Today is Tuesday the 1st of May and this is episode 23. I'm Kate. You can find me on Instagram as Kate_Hawthorncottagecraft, on Ravelry as ARunnerBean, and we have a Ravelry group for the podcast which is Hawthorn Cottagecraft, all one word, podcast group. You're very welcome. If you're here for the first time, it's lovely to meet you. And if you're a returning viewer, it's lovely to have you back. It's been a few weeks now since we've shared and chatted, and I'm really looking forward to today. So I hope you have your cuppa. I have a lovely big mug of coffee this morning, and we can get into all the good yarny goodness. I want to begin by talking about giveaways. Thank you to everyone who has contacted me about the knit along, the garments galore. The prize winners have all contacted me now and all the prizes have gone out, and I think some of them have arrived, so I hope you're enjoying those. If you also entered into the Little Big Knits thread, Selma, who co-hosted this with me, she has now put up her podcast revealing the winners from her threads, so feel free to hop over there, see who has won some prizes, and congratulate everyone there. Thank you to everyone who took part. You're all winners and it was lovely. Really enjoyed the Cal, and I think we're talking about running it again next year, so watch this space. I also want to announce the winner of the Edinburgh Yarn Festival giveaway that I had run from the last episode. I had brought a few goodies home and wanted to share those with those maybe who hadn't been to the festival. A thread was opened in the Ravelry Group and I asked that you wrote down something that was good that had happened within the week, just to focus on all those nice, good, happy things. There was 113 posts. I was number 1, so I did the random number generator between 2 and 113, and we came up with number 13. And the winner was Tracy13, who is from Petoskey in Michigan, I think it is, and Tracy had said that she had really enjoyed that particular week playing card games with her grandson and actually winning the games. So congratulations on both wins, Tracy. You have won this. It is the Edinburgh Yarn Festival little project bag, little canvas bag, and one of the enamel pins with the logo on it. And also included was these 2 skeins of yarn from Blacker Yarns. I had knit my Scully cardigan, which was my Edinburgh Yarn Festival cardigan, and I had this left over. So there's 100 grams here of double knitting, and it's the West Country tweed in the natural grey colour. So that is all in the prize, and Tracy, you have won that. So if you could please let me know, Tracy, what your contact details are. Send me a personal message on Ravelry or on Instagram, and I'll get that out to you as quickly as possible. Today I do have more giveaways. There's been a little run on them, but we have been really kindly donated 3 patterns, and I want to give those a mention today and to open a thread in the Ravelry group to give these patterns away. Jen Sheelan, who is Jen Sheelan on Instagram, and Jen has a podcast, very kindly donated this shawl pattern, Bride by the Sea. And it's a beautiful crescent shaped shawl which uses 3 colours, and I am really keen to cast this one on myself, so it's in my queue. So Jen has offered this pattern. We have a pattern from Cozy Cute Knits. Naomi is local to here, and I've featured some of her patterns before, and Naomi created the Only Way Is Up cowl, and I'll insert a photograph of that one here. And it's a texture and lace cowl. It's beautiful. The colours that she's used are lovely, and I actually think they're Jen Sheelan colours, so there's a bit of a link there. And it's designed for 5 20-gram mini skeins, so it's a great way of using up the ends of skeins that you have. And the last one was very kindly donated by Madeline Windsor, who is Kingfisher Knits. and I hope I pronounce this right. It's a Gaelic word and it's Coliheen, and it means ripple. And it is another beautiful shawl which uses 3 different bases, 3 different textures of yarn. If you watch the Little Big Knits podcast, Selma actually test knit this shawl, and it's gorgeous. It's fingering weight, a skein of double knit, and a skein of lace weight, and in this case mohair. And I think Amy Florence, who has Stranded Dye Works yarn, had actually done a kit for this. I'm not sure if that's still available, but certainly there was a kit for this particular pattern if you wanted to look for that. But we have the pattern up for grabs. 3 beautiful shawl patterns. I'm really, really pleased to showcase these, and I will open a thread in the Ravelry group. I think 1 thread for each pattern. You can enter each of them, no issue with that. Just say hello, it doesn't really matter. Just write whatever you like, just chat to us. But there will be 1 thread for each pattern, and in the next episode I will draw for those. So wonderful giveaways. Thank you so much to those people who have donated those. I'm really, really grateful, and I'm sure you're really grateful for those too. I don't think there's any other rules for that. Just be a member of the group, and good luck with that. So, knitting. What have I been doing? Feels like a long time since I chatted to you just about knitting, and yet I still feel as though I have very little to show you. I have lots of bits and pieces, but because I've no finished objects today, I feel as though I'm lacking in knitting, and I know in reality I'm not. But anyway, I'll show you what I have been doing. Not the last episode, which was the Edinburgh Yarn Festival episode, but the episode before, I had shown you the socks that I was working on. You know that I had started my Dobby socks, and I had one of those complete, and this was it. I had to show something finished, even though you've seen it before. And I had just started the second sock. So I'm quite well on with that. I have been working at it on and off. It is my car knitting. It's the one that normally stays in the car or stays in my bag, and quite shockingly, I actually sat in work at lunchtime and knit. I never knit in work, but I've been in work quite a lot, and I don't like wasting my lunch times not knitting, so I decided I would on one occasion. Got a few strange looks, got a lot of questions, but it went down better than I thought. So I have been working along at this, and it stays in my bag. Maybe it's comfort, I don't know. Does anybody else carry their knitting just for comfort? Or is that just an odd thing that I do? Anyway, getting back to the actual thing, I have been working on my Dobby sock, and I've got on quite well. I had, just where the marker is, I had this much done when I showed it to you last. So it's a 64 stitch sock, which is my normal. I am knitting on 2.5mm, which is a US 1.5, which is my usual. And it was 20 rows of 2x2 rib. And then I started into the pattern, and the pattern is the Vanilla Latte socks, which is Virginia Rose jeans. And I link all of my projects that I'm working on and all the details you need about yarn and patterns in the show notes in the Ravelry group. So it's Virginia Rose jeans, Vanilla Latte socks, and it's just a very, very simple 6x2 rib, and it's just enough to give it interest. So I knit to here, the leg. You will see I've put in my yarn for the Afterthought heel. I follow the Laura Linneman pattern, and again I link that. She's one of the knit girls, and it's now my go-to heel pattern. I do the heel flap and gusset occasionally. It still would be to me the strongest heel, But for speed, it's the afterthought heel. I don't really like the fit of the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and this one is just, it is definitely the preferred speedy heel. So I have my yarn in there ready to go, and I've been working down the foot. I've done the pattern on the top of the foot, and it's just vanilla stitch on the sole of the foot, and I've started to put in my toe. So I'm at the stage where I'm really in the end stages. I have a few rows of my toe decreases done, and I'm doing it in a contrast. So the yarn for the main sock is Nomadic Yarns. Dobby is a free elf. Dobby's one of my favourite characters in Harry Potter. So Dobby is a free elf, and it's an 80-20, 80% superwash blue faced Leicester and 20% nylon, and it's Nomadic Yarns Brit sock base, and it's a good sturdy sock base. I really like this sock base. I like blue faced Leicester anyway, so this is a really nice base. And the contrast toe and heels are knit in Ellie and Ada, and Laura is an Irish dyer, and this is the colour. It's called Delicious, and it's a 75-25, 75 superwash merino and 25 nylon, and that's the contrast heel and toe, so I think that works quite well. So hopefully by the next time this will be a finished object. I'm looking forward to wearing these. I feel as though they've been on the needles for a very long time, and they probably have been on the needles for a very long time. So I'm looking forward to getting these finished. We're nearly there. Really, if I sat down an evening, would finish it off. And that's the Dobby socks. I have no other socks really on the, well, I have one other pair of socks. It's my Atlantic Knitscape socks. I would like to get those finished for next week, but that's unlikely considering I'm still on the first sock. But Atlantic Knitscape is next weekend, and I'm off to the retreat. Looking forward to that immensely. Looking forward to the rest and just that beautiful scenery, countryside. You know how much it uplifts me. So that's next weekend. Those socks probably won't be done for that, but I'll show you those in progress the next time, because they are the next socks that I'll be moving on to. I don't have them handy to show you now, but they're in the Atlantic Knitscape colourway that Bear and Sheep's Clothing produced last year, and I'm looking forward to getting them on as a memory and memento of my weekends away in County Mayo. Anyway, I feel as though I'm blathering this episode. Forgive me. The next project I worked on, and it was very, very little. You've seen it before. I'm not going to talk about it at length because I've talked about it on other episodes, and I really have very little more of it done for you to see, if any. I have a few rows. And it's my surprise party shawl by Curious Handmade, who is Helen Stewart. And I love this, and I really do want to get it finished, but I have had cast-on-itis, and it's that time of year where knitting almost takes a little bit of a back seat because the weather is improving slightly, and I can see so much needs done in the house that knitting takes a back seat. But I have done some. The surprise party shawl is knit in Hue Logo yarn. It's the shawl that Helen designed for the Grocery Girls, and this one is Tracy's. And it's in the I Can't Even colourway. I love the colours in this. I really do want to finish this shawl, and I haven't had it out now in a couple of weeks. And seeing it again makes me really want to work on it. I'm in the last section, which is a long section because the rows are long. But I'm in there's a little bit of ribbing. It's not really ribbing, it's only every so often. But it's a section of that, and then I've just another little bit of section, but I'm all in the same colour. I just started into this last section the last time, so as you can see I've done very, very little on it. I love it. It will be a beautiful shawl when it's finished. It's Hue Loco yarn, as I said. I'm knitting it in 4mm needles, which is a US 6. And maybe by the next time it'll be a finished object. It really should be. I would like to get some of these things cleared off the needles. You'll see the reason that my knitting has been small progress in many things, because there is one project that I want to show you that I've done a lot on, and I'll show you at last. But it's the reason that these things have taken a back seat. But that one will hopefully be finished by the next time. I really, really want to get it done. So that's just to let you see where it's at. I did cast on, as I said, I've a little bit of cast on-itis as well. I'm sure you're all aware, it has been all over Instagram and all over podcasts. Helen Stewart's most recent shawl, which is the Impressionists, and it's a mystery knit along. Now I think all the clues have been released. I am going to show this, so if I've only the first clue done, and I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have seen the first clue, but if you don't, you might want to fast forward to the next section. I will show it, but it's, as I said, I've only the first clue done. I am knitting this on, I'll start by telling you that, 4mm US 6 needles. I'm doing this on my Zings, my Knit Pro Zings. I love these needles. And it's a 3-colour shawl, and I do know what the rest of it looks like. I haven't really worried about spoilers, and I've looked to see how the shawl is going to turn out. Because I am so far behind, I don't really mind. But it's a 3-colour shawl, and I went into my stash. I didn't buy anything new for it, and mine's almost a fade as much as anything else, and I haven't partaken in the fade craze. This is my closest knit to a fade. So the yarns I chose were this. Hopefully it'll not glare too much. I have a light up behind you that I'm hoping is giving better realistic light, but it might glare a little bit. So this is some vintage fine fish yarns. I think this is the first colourway I ever bought of fine fish yarns. Now it's not the first ball of the skein of this that I got, but it's the first colourway. I got it and I gifted it, and I got it again and I gifted it again, and I really wanted it for myself, so I bought it again. So this is Queen Maeve, and this was the old label. This shows how old this one is. It's her original labels. Queen Maeve. It's lovely natural undertones and then pops of pink. The second colour is this beautiful colourway, and it is Life in the Long Grass, Treasure. This is really deep stash. These would be some of the first indie dyers that I have had. I love the colours in this, and I think they work well with this. And the third colour is more a tonal, and it is Ginger Twist. I actually had bought enough of this to knit a t-shirt, but it's not a colour I would wear particularly often. Try not to get the glare. And I thought it might be nice in the shawl, and then I can use the rest for something else. So it's Ginger Twist Studio. And this one's special in that it was sold to me by Louise Scully. It was the first time I met her. It was the first time I was in Ginger Twist Studio. So I bought that with her, or from her. And it is the colourway Lallybroch, and if you're an Outlander fan, that's what a reference from it. It's quite funny. I read those books when they first came out, and in Europe it's not called Outlander, it's called Cross Stitch, and it's really hard getting around calling it Outlander. But anyway, and that's an aside. So this is Lallybroch, and the first two, the Fine Fish yarns, is 80/20 superwash merino nylon. This one is 75/25 superwash merino nylon, and the ginger twist is 80/20 superwash BFL nylon. And it started off really well. I'm really enjoying this knit. I will get back to it. It will take place again. It got put aside because of another cast on, but I will come back to this. I'm really enjoying it, and I like the way, when I've seen everyone else's project, I like the way it's going to knit up. So if you don't want to see it, don't just look away now. But this is the first clue finished. I think we're the right way around. That's the right way around. Nope. That's the right way around. So this was the first colour, and then it has really faded for me into the second colour. You can see a little bit more of it, and the third colour's come in, and I think we'll see more of this in the second clue. So it's coming along very well. It was a really pleasant, simple knit, really enjoyable. It's quite a fast knit. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And once I get the surprise party shawl off the needles, I'm really going to work at this one and get it done too. So those are my shawls. It's like a whistle stop tour this morning, and you'll see why everything has got so little work, which I've said before. The other project that got very little work was my little twig sweater. I've worked at it a little, but it got set aside. The little twig sweater is the sweater by Melody Hoffman, who's Mandarins. And I had started it, and I had a couple of inches done, and I really haven't very much more done. It's all stockinette. I'm just about at the armholes. So that's where I had got to. That marker was. So I've got quite a bit done actually, from here to here. I am knitting this in Durarum Natura. I did the label. Where did I put the label? There. The Durarum Natura Gilead, which is 100% wool. And some people say it's a good substitute for Brooklyn Tweed, and it's obviously at a better price point in Europe, certainly, than the Brooklyn Tweed. And I love how this is knitting up. I feel as though it's going to be a really serviceable sweater. I love the feel of the yarn. I love how sturdy. I don't know whether sturdy is a good word, because it makes it sound hard and heavy, but it's not. It's soft, but it just feels as though it's going to be a really good wearing yarn. I love the stitch definition. I think it comes out really clearly in the stockinette. And I'm just enjoying the knit. I'm knitting it on my Luca needles, and it's a 5mm, which is a US 8. And I'm looking forward now to getting into dividing for the sleeves, and then the yoke has the pattern. I'll put a photograph of the pattern in here. And you can see where I'll be going next with the pattern. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. I feel as though that got put on hold, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that one again. But the main reason for the bittiness maybe of the knitting up until now is because of another cast on that I did. Mina Phillip, who is the knitting expat, I'm sure you all know who Mina is, had put out a call for test knitters for her new pattern, and I jumped at it when I saw it. It's a sweater pattern, and I have a picture of it here. And it's called Parisian Dreams, and it was a fingering weight sweater. It has a bit of lace, it has a bit of cables, and it just looked absolutely divine. So I jumped at the idea, at the chance to test knit this, and it is literally all I have worked at over the last week or so. Partly because there is obviously a time limit. Mina wants a pattern knit up quite quickly, and I wanted to really give it 100% concentration and attention. So it's a fingering weight sweater, and I have looked at the pattern. I saw the yarn that Mina had used, and I have seen some of the yarn that other people have used, and a lot of people have used speckled yarns, colourful, multicoloured yarns, and their sweaters are absolutely stunning. But I like my sweaters to be quite solid colours, and I decided on a local to me dyer whose work I've really wanted to use, whose yarns just blow me away every time I see the colours, and I ordered some from her. Now, the yarn dyer is Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company, and trying to get it without the light, there we go. Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company, and she's very local to me. She's based in Ballymoney, which is in County Antrim, so it's just up the road from me. And she uses all British yarns, and it's all naturally dyed. So this is a BFL, Blueface Leicester and Massam wool, and it's in the Faded Heather colourway. So it's a very natural colour, and in many lights it's a grey, almost a grey colour, grey natural colour. But there are undertones in there, and there's mauve, beautiful mauve, and you can just see some of the little purple tinge to it, depending on the light that you hold it in. So this is what I wanted to knit my sweater in. Certainly go and look Woolly Mammoth Fibres Company. Her yarns are beautiful. She has a beautiful feed on Instagram. I got the sweater cast on, and I am actually really quite far on with it. This hadn't even been on the radar the last time I spoke to you. But I have the body completed, and I just love the way it has turned out. I did a gauge swatch, shock horror. I felt I had to, and it was a test knit, and I achieved gauge on its 3.5mm needles, which is a US4, and I achieved the gauge that was needed for my size. I'm working the second size. And it fits really well. I had put a picture on Instagram if you want to go over there to see what it looks like just in this form on. And I have started the first sleeve. So I don't want to say too much about the pattern, in that it will be a paid for pattern, but you can see the beautiful texture on this, with the cables and the little bit of lace work. And it's not complicated cabling at all. If you've never tried cables before, it's actually cables and lace, neither are complicated, but they make a beautiful, quite intricate looking pattern. And this yarn, I think, has been perfect for it. It is really showing the pattern. It's really popping. And it's very, very soft. And I think it'll be a lovely piece, even spring. I'm not sure if I mentioned the name of the pattern. It's Parisian Dreams. Mina was recently in Paris and named it after her trip. And I think it'll be a nice spring or early autumn sweater, or it could be layered over something. And I'm really, really pleased with it. The back of it is plain stocking stitch. And And the front has the pattern, and the sleeves are stocking stitch, and they're picked up and knit down. And so far, so good in my sleeves. I always worry, as you know, when I start sleeves. I decided I would do them in the double pointers, and I'm on my zings because I'm enjoying the double points, and there don't seem to be any issues with ladders so far. So I'm really, really pleased with this. I have to have this finished, I think it's towards the end of next week, I think. And I would say the pattern will be released mid to late May, I think. But certainly look out for it. It is, I mean, I've knit this in about 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks. It's a very fast knit once you get started. I think because the pattern's only in the front, you feel as though you're moving quite quickly as you're working around. It's knit in the round, and it's knit bottom up. But I'm loving this, and that has really been how my time has been absorbed with knitting in the last few weeks. I really wanted to give it its full attention and had to set the other things aside. But hopefully it means that within the next week or so, I'll have quite a few finished objects for you. And I also want to wear this at the end of May, because at the end of May in Dublin, there's the Woolen Festival. And the Woolen Yarn Festival is the first large indie festival that has really been run in Ireland. There have been smaller festivals all over the place. We had Yarn Folk here in Northern Ireland last year, and it is running again in August, and I'll tell you a bit more about it in a later episode. But Woolen is coming up now at the end of May, the last weekend of May. I think it's the 28th, I think. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm certainly going down on the Saturday to it. It runs on the Friday and Saturday. I will definitely be there on Saturday. Not sure yet about Friday. I'm looking forward to wearing my new sweater at that. I hope to see some of you there. I know there's a lot of buzz and excitement about it. If you follow the Woolen Instagram page, there have been some live chats there, and the beautiful photographs. They have a website, and I link all of these in the show notes. Go and see who the vendors are. There's a fabulous array of vendors coming over, and there's an awful lot of local vendors, local dyers, makers, bag makers that you'll definitely want to see there. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have to put myself on a budget as usual, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have to offer. There are lots of classes. I'm not sure if there are any spaces left in classes. Certainly check their website if you're interested in any of them to see if there are spaces available. I am going to the Kate Davies talk about her new book, and I'm really looking forward to that. I heard such good reports about it after Edinburgh that I'm looking forward to it. That's kind of what's in the scheme of things for the next few weeks. There's Knitscape next weekend, and then Woolen. That will keep me going. I have projects, lots of projects to finish off, and I'm looking forward to getting those done. I hope you have a lovely few weeks. I hope you enjoy the new spring weather if you're going into spring, autumn weather if you're going into autumn, and enjoy your knitting.